Time travel. Does it exist? Has it exist? Have we technically already experienced time travel? I'm a believer in Mandela effect, and I believe time travel is the cause of Mandela effect. But guys, you better go to the bathroom real quick, get some popcorn, do whatever you got to do. Because after the intro, we got Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Hunters on, Dr. Wu, and they have some experience of possible time travel that were caused. I'm not gonna tell you the story because then why are you here, right? So we're just gonna have some fun. It's gonna rock your brain. So just relax, popcorn, go say Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror, and come back, and we're gonna have a kick-ass time. So I'll see you all on the Paranormal Highway. All right. Time travel. It's interesting because it doesn't matter what website you go to, science theories, everybody says the possibility of time travel is real. That's not a debate. I mean, if I go to this one article here, it says, according to various sources, time travel is possible and has already happened.
Yeah.
Cosmonaut Gennady Padalaka, whatever his name is, breaking the record for the longest stay in space, 879 days. However, no experiment or observation has ever indicated that time travel is occurring in our universe. The earthly physicists has been working to determine whether it's possible to manipulate matter and the geometry of space-time in such a way as to create new paths that are circle back in time. And then, like I said, then you go to other sites. I mean, everybody says it's possible. Like here's a recent study at a University of Queensland may have the answers to the baffling paradox. In the study that researchers prove mathematically that paradox-free time travel is possible, showing that the universe will self-correct to avoid fix itself. It is true that then even if we could travel back in time, we would never be able to alter events to create a different future. So there's so many different theories that if you time travel, it's a one-way ticket. And then there's people say if you do time travel, if you do change something, it causes multi-universes.
Well, yeah, it depends on where you're at because there's different math in every location. So if you're on what we call the back of the turtle Earth, and then you're on some other place that's long far away in the upper spheres, math runs different. You know what I mean? So you have somebody on another, we'll just say hypothetically, somebody on another planet, it's a frog, and that frog jumps from this pad to this pad in this other far away place. Its math is different than math here. So basically, we're frozen, and it takes us 1 million years our time for us to jump from that pad to pad. Well, that thing just jumped it like in negative seconds. You understand what I'm saying? Is that weird?
So it's basically time is relative, huh?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Right.
It depends on the mechanics of where you're at. So it's just where you're at.
Yeah.
It's a play toy. It depends on your location.
And there's different theories. Do you need a time machine? Can you do it with the mind?
Yeah.
And like the title of the show, the evolution of the human mind. There's what is it, Bob? You're archaeologist. How many percentage of the brain that we actually used?
Oh God, it was like a small amount, man. I don't in this reality, it's like even smaller because our brains are smaller in this place. So we have no frontal lobe cortex, which means our creative centers are freaking gone in this place. Mine's still there, but I don't know, everybody else don't have one. I think we use about what they say, like they were jumping like 10%, 30% tops. I'm like, yeah, 10%. I'm like, I guess I can see it. Okay.
Unless
so what if somehow the time traveling that we could do is actually in here?
Yeah.
And just learning how to tap to it or accidentally tap to it. You know how, Bob, like you had an accident, you flew over the cliff.
Oh yeah.
Somehow during the crash, you hit some part of the brain that causes a time travel that saved your life. I mean, I don't know. I'm just talking. It's just.
Well, I think I died. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I
3%.
I remember that clearly. Believe me, that was pretty vivid. I went down the cliff, 100-foot cliff straight down and made my way back up. Now, before I went down, we had a nice bright yellow orange sun that was hot. When I come back up to camp, I remember looking up and going, what happened to the sun and why is it a white ball? Like, what happened to everything? Everything looks weird. In fact, Eric, I don't know if you knew this. Do you remember what rolled in front of the motorcycle that caused us to go over the cliff? Do you remember what that object was?
According to Uncle Johnny, who's driving the motorcycle with two of you in the back of a motorcycle. Yeah. So people in the chat, it's dangerous to have one person in the back, but if you put two people in the back, technically that was idiotic. We'll admit that. But what I've heard, it was a rock.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. And I drew a picture and I gave it to the ranger at the ranger station. They were like, because I didn't go to the hospital because Dad hid me. You remember? He couldn't afford it. He had no insurance. So anyway, later on, after all the ambulances left, and he comes out, okay, now tell them, since we don't have to send you to the hospital, you're okay. It was a rock. Now, Daryl, I'm staying with our cousin. He was the other guy on the bike. And so when I speak to Daryl about it, Daryl's like, oh, clearly it was a car. And he was explaining how the car come around the corner. And I go, no, dude, it was not. And now he has a vivid memory like me. When you're in an accident, you remember. So he remembers a car. I said, no, it was a rock, man. It was a car. I go, so now we have two split memories of two different situations in reality. And even,
3 split memories. Because you said that day, I was going fishing. And I said, no, that's the day that I shot my
Big John's windshield, with the BB gun.
Windshield. I shot the windshield out.
Yeah, you never shot the windshield out.
People in the chat, why I accidentally shot out a window. But
no, you were fishing with me because Dad wanted to hide me from the ambulances because he had no insurance. So he sent you and me and Big John in the river to fish. We caught a fish. I remember the fish. So I remember you as a kid in the water. And you're like, no, man, I was playing around with the BB gun and I shot the windshield. I said, nah, you were with me hiding in the river.
Technically, I was aiming for a tree and I missed a tree and I hit the windshield.
That's what you said. Like, no.
Do you think y'all were on different timelines and you've merged now or what? Like, what's going on with this? Because this is not the only story y'all have where you don't remember or you remember two different things.
Oh, we have entirely different memories and stuff. Like, for example, my dad sat me, Eric, and my older brother down one time, and he clearly said, hey, guys, you're an RHO negative blood type. That means it's rare. That means you guys need to be super careful because, the pool of blood for emergencies, since we were always running around getting freaking hurt. Eric got hit by a vehicle, hit head on by a truck as a child, and flew several feet over a cliff. Anyway, he's fine. Told us about our blood type.
Did he go to the hospital?
We didn't go to the hospital. You didn't go to the hospital. To make sure that we knew our blood types. That way, if you get into an accident, you could tell them immediately, hey, you don't die with the wrong, because we could die with the wrong blood type. But I told Eric when I first woke up in 2016, I said, dude, what's your blood type? And Eric goes, negative. I go, okay, so you sure? Eric goes back and he goes, yeah, man. And Eric goes back and grabs his military documents and he comes out with a face like, no, it's L positive. I said, no, it's not. And he goes, O negative. Remember Dad talked to Eric's like, no, it's O positive now. Well, what's Mike? Oh. And Mike switched blood type too. I go, that's crazy. Dude, we got different blood types and we have different memories and a lot of weird things. So we have a weird weird.
Yeah.
uh,
Entanglement.
yeah.
It's like timeline entanglements or something.
Yeah.
That's so odd. It's really
Yeah.
cool though that you have the wherewithal to even notice these slight changes in your
Yeah.
realities.
Well, I have what they would consider. I have a short-term memory, which means my long-term memory is perfect. My short-term memory is bad. And so whenever these changes occur, I'm like, oh, there's a change, and everyone's like, no, there's not. I see, yeah, there is.
I know you can't see it. It's all positive on my military card.
Yeah, it's so positive on your military. I go, no, it wasn't, because I remember we had to talk with Dad. I had to talk with my kids. I said, you're negative, so you got to know your blood type. I don't care if you have a little. Some people wear a bracelet, a necklace. That way, if you're in trouble, you know you won't die. And so Eric's birth certificate changed, and mine changed.
Really?
Our dad was Eric. Eric, where was our dad born?
Fuck, I can't remember.
Well, Idaho. So he's born in Idaho.
Oh, the state. I thought you meant the year.
No, what state was he born in?
Yeah,
That was my bad. Yeah. So my dad was born in Idaho. Eric's dad was born in Idaho. So when Eric and I was doing a freak out, and Eric and I were trying to figure shit out, I go, pull out your birth certificate, man. So Eric and I we were born in the same hospital. And so Eric has this down, and we have our older brother Mike's down. And we look at our birth certificates, and I go, what the hell? Eric's says Dad was born in Idaho. My older brother, says Dad was born in Idaho. I look at mine, it says Utah. I said, Utah? No, man, I had my birth certificate in the military. I have you use a birth certificate. I know my birth certificate. It says Utah. Dad was not born in Utah. And mine is in lowercase, and Eric's is in uppercase, and my older brother's in uppercase. So my birth certificate looks completely different. So I go, what the hell's going on, dude?
Oh, you're a time traveler. That's what it is.
Yes,
I think you're a time traveler.
Sometimes I'll say, do we have a guardian angel? Because it seems like there's so many times that
we should
have died, right? Starts when I was a baby, I flew out of a car and somehow survived. My grandpa used to call me the miracle baby.
Yeah.
Like the baby that should have died because I flew out of the window. But what if wasn't a guardian angel? I don't know. It was ourselves somehow that we're supposed to live in a way, and it's coming back to like maybe when I flew out, it stopped me somehow from because they said I hit a rock.
Well, you're
That's
a baby.
why they said I should have died, but I didn't.
You're a baby, and it's the 70s, and nobody's seatbelted in the 70s, and mom's driving, and she smashed head on.
She was under the influence. One of the reasons why she left.
Yeah, and no, in my reality, she was sober. Now remember, our mom was. This is kind of sad. Everyone just don't judge too hard. Judge not lest ye be judged, which is not in the Bible anymore, by the way. Our mother was 15 when she had her older brother, Mike. She was 16 when she had me, and she was like 19 when she had you. So she was a kid, and our dad was in the 30s. It is what it is. It's that time period. I don't know. So she was still young, and she was not drunk in my reality, what I was told by Dad. There was the truck driver was driving a produce truck. He was illegal. He was illegal, and he was drunk, and it was in the fog, and he smashed into our mother head on. And you, as a baby, Eric, went through the windshield, and you broke the windshield. I followed right behind you in my reality and hit the ground. Now, I died, according to Dad, and my heart, everything. And then Mike was somehow hit the back of the chair, and he didn't go out of the windshield. So all of us were rushed off to the hospital. I came back.
First time we went to the hospital.
Yeah, first time ever. I came back. You came back. I think you died. According, because you're not dead until a doctor announces you dead. So I remember you can't. It don't matter if you're dead on the scene. It's like, oh, this motherfucker's dead. But no, you're not dead until you take him to the hospital and the doctor signs it off as dead. Time of death. So we were technically alive, but we were both. They reported like, nah, they're not breathing. No way in hell these guys are breathing.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but in your reality, it was just Eric remembers just himself going through the windshield, and that was the end of the story. Me and Mike.
I don't remember nothing.
Yeah. Well, you're a baby. That was the story you were told, and then in my story was you went through the windshield first, which you broke the windshield with your head, which is what caused Eric's brain damage. So Eric, well, Eric he couldn't hear. Eric was deaf.
I was
From
deaf.
that point forward, he was completely 100% deaf that way forward. Myself, I hit my head, and I've always had a short-term memory because we both had brain damage. So, as reported on paper, as a children. But then again, Eric can hear. Miraculously, they couldn't figure out how he could hear, but he heard. And then I somehow was just functioning just fine with my brain. So, but now here we are in this place, and Eric, both of our little gifts are beneficial.
Wow, that's pretty
How we
fascinating.
got on this conversation was I went on Space Out Radio channel.
Yeah.
Jessica was hosting the channel, and after the show was over, we were just talking like time travel and all that, and like connections, and it was just weird. I mean, because I was talking to Jessica like we know each other for years. She's like a sister. I mean, it's just it was just awesome. And then during our conversation, Jessica was telling me a story like hearing a voice, but the weird part is this is the kicker.
Yeah.
Her own. It was
good for you. I've had that. Yeah.
Have you?
So Jessica tells that, and then Bob's got a story exactly like hers where he heard his own voice.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so weird, right?
Same thing. Yeah, I thought it was my dad though. Well, I'm gonna hear your story. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, well I didn't know who the voice was. It took me like somewhere between a week and a month to figure out that was my voice.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was so perplexed by this. Like I actually was out at a research area because I'm a Bigfoot field researcher and paranormal field researcher, and we have all these locations all over the South, and one in particular is a place we call the Skinwalker Ranch of the South, and it's the Meadow where we do the Meadow Project. And I was out there one night. This is about, I'm going to say like 3-4 years ago, I guess. And we were walking we were hiking into the meadow. It's a pretty long hike from civilization. And we were like halfway to the meadow, and I was passing by this one particular area that we had to hop over a tree or something. And I heard there was a water source right there. And I heard from over like the white noise, really loud from across the way. I mean, it couldn't have been more than like 20 yards or 15 yards away. I heard, and I was, by the way, I was with my friend Tim and his daughter, and he was in the front, and I was in the middle, and his daughter's in the front. I was in the middle. He was in the back. And as we're walking, they should have heard the same thing I heard, right?
Yeah. And
so I heard a woman's voice from across the way out in the woods. It's not accessible in the middle of the night. This is in the middle of the night. It was dark. Without crossing that creek, and and potentially getting eaten by copperheads or water moccasins. Okay. And I heard a voice, and she goes, "Time travel." Of all things, time travel, like really loud. And I stopped, and I was like, what was that? I was like, did y'all just hear that? And both of them would go, what are you talking about? We didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of sat there for a minute, and I was like, all right, well, because we have a lot of weird crap that happens out there.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon for us to hear disembodied voices and things. But this was an odd one because she sounded like she enunciated really well and really wanted me to hear time travel. Okay. Yeah. And so we went out in the field that night, went out to the meadow. We had a really great night. A lot of weird activity happened. But I was still left perplexed, like whose voice was that and how. Okay, so I started thinking, was that a ghost, whatever? And I thought about it all the time until I finally realized, holy crap, that was me.
Yeah.
And it just dawned on me one day. It was almost like something was blocking me from understanding that was my voice. And then I got unblocked. I realized that was my voice. And so then I started racing in my thoughts like, well, okay, I'm trained in remote viewing, and was that me? And when I get these targets, like I just recently had a target of a little boy who got unalived, let's say on YouTube. And so I was tasked with seeing what happened. I didn't know it was a blind target. So I just get a set of numbers. And so I don't know what these things are, but when I detect a person in my remote viewing target, when I'm remote viewing it, I do what it's called a deep mind probe. And even with like this little boy who got shot, he got shot. Okay. And he died. And I'm able to go in and do a deep mind probe if I can make contact with that person and ask them what happened, where are they. I didn't know that this boy, I mean, I knew that somebody had been hurt really bad when I was remote viewing it. But I'm able to talk with them. Same with like missing people or even cryptids. I can communicate with cryptids that way when I'm remote viewing. So, so I started wondering, was that me remote viewing myself? Okay, because since then, my friend Tim has passed away. He died. And maybe potentially, maybe I was in the future or sometime I go back and remote view myself of that night and see us walking into that field and stuff. And I did a deep mind probe on myself. And I said, time travel to me, potentially. Or did I time travel in the future? Do I get like some kind of access to time travel technology? And I go and I hike in and I scare myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just really weird.
Well, yeah, it's not. I mean, so here's one of the, as an anthropologist, I'm from Sagittarius constellation. Believe me, I worked at an aerospace museum. I know very well where I came from, and I went to, so I know where I'm from. It's now we're in Orion Spur, which is a completely like, what the hell happened? But anyway, Sagittarius is now in a black hole. I don't know if you knew that. Actually, two black holes that are merging is where all my memory and my home is from. Even our biology, everything was from there. But now, for some reason, it's in a large black hole. But here we are here. But here's what I found out from talking to people and looking through all the science stuff, and I go through everything like a nerd. The majority, I'd say 90-something% of the people, according to the research here, do not have what they call an inside voice. Now, I have no comprehension of that. I don't even know how that mind would work. And so I go, what do you mean there's no inside voice? So I'm like, I don't understand I don't have the concept of that because I have an inside voice. So basically, if I'm working on something, I'm singing songs in my head. They're like, oh, that's schizophrenia. No, it's not. It's an inside voice. And I'm thinking to myself, is it this bolt or is this bolt? Now this is metric, and this. So I don't have to say it. I can think it, and sometimes I'll say it out loud. Oh no, it is. And I'm talking. I could do this whole thing because I have my own voice. When I talk to these other people, they don't have an inside voice, and when I read the paper, I go, how is that possible? That somebody doesn't have what is that like not to have an inside voice? What is that even? What is that?
Well, it makes me wonder, are those like pod people or like, I don't know, because I have an inside, I'm constantly talking in my head and I'm having conversations with other people. It's like I'm living in another dimension in my head all the time.
Yeah, are we saying that people don't have that?
Yeah.
I can't imagine not having that.
I never imagined people not having that.
Those are robots.
Yeah. So when she talked about hearing her own voice from a distance, it's as if now she's got an inside voice. Now we can debunk and say, well, that's an inside voice. That is she's just hearing her, she's hearing her own inside voice, whatever. But that would be true, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a mental illness. It just means she's heard an inside voice because I have that. For example, in 2016. I woke up here. I'm like, everything's changed. The colors have changed. TV's changed. Ellis Island no longer has the Statue of Liberty. It's on some freaking Freedom Island, which is on top of Fort Wood, which ironically is a relative of ours. And I'm like, Eric, the Statue of Liberty is on a Fort Wood, and it's ironically a relative of ours, and it's never existed in our reality. And even Eric's like, no, it's on Ellis Island. I go, yeah, it's always been on Ellis Island. I don't know. It's weird. But
is it not there now? It's not on Ellis Island right now?
No, it's on Freedom or Liberty Island on Fort Wood. Yeah.
Is this a Mandela effect? I didn't know
it's a Mandela effect. Yeah,
is it still on top of a star fort?
It's on a star fort.
Yeah. Okay.
It's on a star fort now, and it's because Fort Wood, which is a relative of ours now. And I'm like, I'm doing research. I'm like, that's one of our relatives. When the hell did that ever happen? On a star fort. I never heard of a star fort.
Oh yeah, I've done shows on star forts.
Yeah. It's on right here. It's Liberty Island.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, there is some Mandela effects there because people don't remember it being on a like a star on the bottom of it.
And I remember, Eric, as kids, you, me, Dad, Mike, we all sat around the TV because David Copperfield was going to make the Statue of Liberty disappear. And I remember everybody sitting on Ellis Island. And I remember watching the whole thing because I couldn't figure out, because I wanted to, as a kid, I like magicians. I like to figure out how they do the tricks. So how did he make an entire Statue of Liberty disappear? And this was on Ellis Island. So that's how I have that memory 1,000%, because I have a long-term memory. Now it's on a different freaking island. Like, where the
I
hell
thought
did
it was
that
on
come-
Ellis Island because
Yeah,
that's
Ellis
where
Island.
all the immigrants came from
Yes.
Europe and from all over the world. They would come to Ellis Island. That's
Ellis
where the Statue
Island.
of Liberty was.
Yes, Ellis
Whoa.
Island.
Okay.
And
Mind
it was,
blown.
yeah, it was in the movie Godfather, and it was even in the movie Godfather and a lot of other movies. Ellis Island.
What does the movie have
I'm
now?
saying,
Is
if
it
you believe in time
Wood
travel?
Island?
How can you not believe in that the Mandela effect is possible? Because if some people have time travel, what
Yeah,
does that do to your brain? Like if somebody changes something in the past, like I'm sure your brain doesn't compute it at 100%. You're going to have glitches.
correct. If you have, this is only my hypothesis.
Yeah, of course it is.
If somebody has what she has and some other people have, which is the inside voice, somehow, even though there is a manipulation in time in the past, your mind doesn't adjust to it 100%, because you're always having those voices. So if you don't have an inside voice, then you get the program, which means if the past changes, you change with it 100% linear along the timeline. If your mind is always out in space and you're always looking up and staring at the stars, which is completely changed, because I don't even know where the North Star is anymore. Everything's completely changed. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on up there, but your mind is not here 100%. It's never was. If you were that kid in the back of the class that doodled as the teacher talked, they're like, huh? Oh yeah, I heard you.
Yeah.
You're just not 1,000% there. You're in 1,000 different places in your head at the same time. You don't get the download. So whatever changes in the past, you're kind of stuck in a limbo. Like, huh? Now, didn't the Monopoly guy have a monocle? I swear to God, he had a monocle. I played the game 1,000 times, and the guy don't have a monocle. Isn't it Luke, I'm your father?
Yeah, I mean, my big one, I live down here in the South and we have Chick-fil-A restaurants, fast food. And that's like the one that like always gets me is the name, the way Chick-fil-A has changed the name, the way they, oh my God, I can't talk. The way they spelled their name.
Yeah.
It was CHIK filet. Some people remember CHIC filet and now it's CHICK filet.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's always been that apparently. So
yeah.
God, it's so weird.
Yeah, even the colors have changed because the sun used to be bright, dark orange, orangish, reddish orange. Now, in the world of science, what that tells an astronomer or anybody in astrology or anything in the field of science with it was an old sun. That means old. That dark color means it's old and it's getting old. It's grandpa. So the sun was in the world of keeping your brain easy to remember things. It was a grandpa sun. We have a white sun now. I woke up, there's a white sun, which is a different radiation, which means you're going to have different photons, which means you're going to have a different radiant colors. You're going to see different colors. A lot of people say, I see multiple different colors. It looks like Vegas to me now. That white sun is young. I go, oh, God. The color of the sun determines its age, and colors of stars determine, that's how they find out if there's, what's on that planet? Is that a planet? Yes. What's the colors reflecting? Well, that is a signature color for whatever chemical is reflecting back from that body up there. And it gives you an answer. That's how science works. It's all colors. Colors. It's like everything is color signature for chemicals. The white sun means young. That thing is like middle-aged to young. I'm like, oh, wow. So we're in a young sun. And we have different photons. And so a lot of things are different. And so we're in a place that's much smaller. South America is now a hard right. It's getting closer to Europe. To me, I was in the Navy and I was on a ship and I went all over the Pacific. So I know the Pacific, and I went to Australia and it took weeks to get there from Japan, Yokosuka. And now it's just a hop skip. It's like, whoa, shit. Look at that. Australia is now in the guts of Indonesia. Like, it's right there.
Oh.
Now, I was in field school in archaeology in Indonesia. And I'll tell you what I did not see.
Yeah.
Australia.
Australia.
Now you can see Australia. It's right there.
Wow.
It's like right there.
Oh my gosh.
So the topography here got smaller. We're in a smaller place, which means time is different. We had much longer time, different, larger surface. This is a smaller surface. Now you're probably experiencing time going by faster than what your mind remembers. So your mind is like, I feels weird, man. I just woke up and it's already like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't feel like I've done anything. It's the time is going faster. Your mind can't get the concept of a smaller place. Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
Wow. No. It just makes you think, because the biggest problem about the Mandela effect is when people have different memories, nobody can believe the other is a chance. Like I already seen someone in the chat that says, no, the Statue of Liberty was on this island. They're next to each other. That's why people get mixed up.
Of course.
Every time you try to bring up something, if someone has a different memory, it did not happen. It's like people say they're open-minded, but they're not with the Mandela effect.
Well, they're correct though. See, that's why I have
for their own memory.
Yeah, I always have
their memory.
I always remind people that have they're experiencing the continuity errors, the discrepancies, the phenomenon that's going around, that the people that remember it being on that island are correct. So you can't get mad at them.
I agree with that, but I'm saying is they automatically say, no, you're crazy.
Yeah, well, I'm used to that. You just gotta get over that.
Like I discovered like a new Mandela effect for myself. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure most people are gonna say it's always been there. Now, hold on a second. Hold on. No. What I mean is like I've always been. I love Halloween movies. I've always been Michael Myers fan, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's a Mandela effect.
Now Halloween's coming up. I've been watching the Halloween movies again.
Yeah.
And then in Halloween 2, there's a scene where Michael Myers goes into a house for his first kill in the John Carpenter second one.
Nice.
And then now all of a sudden in this, like I'll just show the picture. People are gonna think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
There's a 6-pack of Coke there now.
What is that, dude?
And that's never been there. Now people are saying, well, Coke, they didn't have a sponsor with Coke in the Halloween movies. But in this one now, there's a 6-pack of Coke. Now I know somebody in the chat saying, Eric, it's always been there. I remembered it.
No, you know why? They had Eric, explain to people they had a super, super, super low budget. They had almost no money. They only had one good actor they could only afford. And I'll tell you what, if you put any product in there, you have to pay for the royalties for it. You got to pay the sponsorship. I'll tell you what, 100% right down the fucking board, I'll put money on it. They cannot afford to pay Coca-Cola. You know, if they can't afford good actors and they got one actor, why would they pay the endorsements to Coca-Cola for a scene? They have to pay them money. They don't have the money to pay Coca-Cola.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, this is my thought on that. What if Coca-Cola is a huge corporation? They're based here in Georgia, in Atlanta. And what if, a lot of these big corporations, they have access to a lot of technology, and I don't know if Coca-Cola does, but I mean, I talk with people in the secret space program, and like Nestle, for instance, has corporations on other planets and stuff, and so does Coca-Cola. I mean, they all do, from what I've been told. What if they've done some like time traveling, timeline shifting, some Project Pegasus kind of stuff, and they've sent people back in time to go place their products in these movies on purpose for advertising now.
I agree. I agree.
Now, Danny wrote, no, they pay you for product placement. And Danny, I know that. But at the end of the day, the Coke 6-pack was not there. Now, here's the strange one. This is more personal. So this is not like no picture or nothing. Like, here's a tool. This is one of my small little Gerbil tools. It's actually a bottle opener. I love it. Little knife. I lost this about I don't know, about 10 years ago. I lost my favorite little tool out of nowhere. Oh, thank you. Some ghosts is in my room. I found this on the ground with this bullet. Now, like a bullet, what is that supposed to mean? Hopefully people are thinking, hopefully nothing bad. No, my father used to make his own bullets.
Yeah.
Weapon. So I'm thinking to myself, did somehow out of nowhere, because this just happened on Tuesday, did my father just happen to put this there, and all of a sudden, and naturally this bullet to let me know that it was him? Can
You know,
so
yeah.
I'm thinking, when somebody die, can an energy somehow time travel itself to find something that you lost, that you loved, and brought it to you?
Yeah, kind of. You know, me, I'm a skeptic about ghosts. I don't believe that they're a thinking thing. I believe that there is the residual that kind of moves around without really any intelligence. They're just a memory, like, you know, like the R2D2. Obi-Wan, you know, you're our only hope, kind of a projection. You know, they're not really, because they come from the pineal silica little freaking storage chip in our brain. So you have all your memories stored into a little, like a computer. And so even when you die, your body rots, everything's going, because it's a mineral and it's a silica base, like in your cell phones. What do you have in your cell phone? You have silica. What do you have in your brain? You have silica. It's the same damn thing. You have a chip in your freaking brain. You know, it still has the memories of all the things you've ever done. Because I found that out in cemeteries. When I was at a cemetery, I'm like, oh, these are like freaking Obi-Wan, you're my only hope kind of projection people. I'm like, oh, they're not real. They're coming from the freaking pineal goddamn program chip. Oh, even though the bodies are rotten, there's a freaking skeleton, there's still a mineral in there. I go, oh, it's just a little memory chip. And then you have demons, which are not human, and they are the ones running around in the two dimensions. That's why you have pentagrams and certain symbols that represent, because they're two-dimensional beings that have to follow straight lines. You know, they can't, they're not three-dimensional. So that's why I always tell people, when they smudge a house, smudge the corners. They always smudge the corners. You probably know what I'm talking about, right? She knows exactly.
I mean, I've heard a little bit about it, but I don't know. I'm learning a lot from you today.
Yeah, well, you have corners of the house, and somehow they like to, like rats getting into a corner and getting cornered. They get into the corners because they can only follow lines, and they
nice.
so
That's good
the
to know.
people that smudge corners, they smudge corners to the houses because these things run across lines. That's why when they do pentagrams and people are inside of they have to go in, like if you're walking around, you got a cup of coffee, you know, they're kind of stuck in the lines. And so, like, okay, put a pentagram down now, dude, and stand in the middle, because then they'll follow the lines. They follow the lines to you. And like you have ley lines, they follow ley lines. So these yeah, that's why you have
that explains a lot.
Yeah, and then you go up to Peru, and they've got these certain lines that, you know, they could follow lines because they're only two dimensional.
Wait a second. I gotta say, okay, so but a lot of the ley lines connect all these places of high strangeness. So therefore, like demonic entities follow those ley lines. Oh
yeah,
man,
that's the only path they have. Yeah.
Oh wow, because a lot of the places that I go and research with my team, they sit on ley lines.
Yeah, that's where that's the hot spots. Yeah, you're sitting
where
right.
The Bigfoots are.
You're sitting in the middle of a freeway. Yeah, you're in the freeway. You're in the middle of the freeway. And ghosts.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, mostly demons.
Well, that's interesting.
So now Bob, that's your thought of the ghost. And I told Jessica the story of the Gettysburg thing. So you and I kind of determined that it could not be a ghost because it was too real. We talked about, like, could it be a time loop travel? Because not just a time travel in a way.
Yeah.
We both have some things that was different in our memories of that thing.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if there's a connection, because in 2009 you wrote something. Let me show it. Let me show it here.
I have no memory of that. I have no memory of that. It's like, what is this?
Now, this is kind of dark. It's kind of dark. Explain here, Bob. What are we looking at here?
So that was 2009, and I went back to look at my social. I'm sciencing myself, because what the hell? Where am I at? I'm on a different. So I looked at this, and it says "Pop Goes the World," CERN, and I go, "What in the fuck is that?" Now there's a missing site. Now, just about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, it's gone now. It's changed. There was a video attached to it, and that video was, in fact, Men Without Hats, Pop Goes the World. And I go, what? You know that song, dun, 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 dun. You know, Pop Goes the World, Men Without Hats.
You got me copyright, but that's cool.
Okay, sorry. But it was attached to it, and I go, CERN, Pop Goes the World? Now, I had to stop and think about it. Now, I didn't do this. I don't know what this is, but apparently it's mine. And I was thinking, well, let me do some research because I'm giving myself a message. So what does that mean? So I found out that in 2000 whatever 2009,
December
CERN
19th.
CERN was fired up. Now it was actually fired up in 2008 as a trial run, the CERN whatever circle. Now I have no memory of CERN until after 2016, and I worked at a science. I worked for the government in science and at the Aerospace Museum with NASA guys. And there was no CERN. I'm like, I never heard of no CERN. But all of a sudden I'm going through my stuff. I said, LHC Collider, CERN, 2009. Well, let me research this. And I found out that in 2008, they fired up the machine. There we go, man. Get this thing cranking. And in 2009, they fired their first big blast. And I go, oh, I know why I put that there. Okay, so I followed my own breadcrumbs. Like you talked about when you called yourself a time traveler. I left myself breadcrumbs. And I go, okay, so 2009 was the official firing of CERN. Cha-ching, turn this motherfucker on. And it happened. And then I have that video that says, pop goes the world. Oh, we blew this thing up. And then I go back and I look at my own reality in Sagittarius and I go, there's a black hole. Oh shit, we blew up.
That's why. Yeah, they say that even in one of those, some kid that was like some genius said that, like literally a genius, said that the world was destroyed in 2012 or something like that. But maybe it was 2009.
It was 2000. Well, according to my breadcrumbs, and I can't. Again, all of this is speculation.
Yeah.
This is you guys tear it apart, bunk it, debunk, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to debunk and question.
But now explain the formula that came into your head that you wrote down.
So there was a formula also that I wrote on there in 2009. That
you have a picture of your formula?
Yeah, I sent it to you. I sent you two. Oh shit! Did it not go through?
Hold on. Was that the two that?
One of them is LHC Collider weird one in my social media, and the other one was the time machine I built.
Let me.
2009
time machine.
Talk about this right here.
Yeah, that's it right there. So I don't know if you can read it. I don't know if you got to go all the way up. Oh, you can't see it. See, it's always trying to stop it.
It only caught part of it, and your own picture didn't come in.
It does that every time. Like if I try to show somebody, it usually fades out, or you can't get to it. Like I have to physically show people on a computer because you can't. Facebook used to allow people to go back and look at everybody else's old posts, but they stopped it. And so nobody could see my old stuff. And I can't show anybody unless I take a picture of it. But according to that one, I wrote out a whole thing about LHC. I wrote about how to make a time machine. You got to use a usable isotope. And you got to find the Eigen value. And then you got to go in the direction of negative. And I'm like, oh, holy shit. I wrote a time thingy, time travel equation.
Let me ask you this. Now, what if it wasn't technically to build a time machine, some kind of formula to open up a certain part of the brain?
Yeah.
And you didn't know it, and we were in Gettysburg at that right time and right place. Yeah. That formula is what caused the opening of the experience of like we were there.
Yeah, it's a breadcrumb. Again, people, can Facebook go in and manipulate and write things in your name? Plausible. Can they go in and change a lot of your stuff? Plausible. Why would they do that? And
why would they pick you? You know?
Yeah. Why would they pick a schmuck? You know, and I talked to other people that went to their social media and says, oh man, I'm not crazy, but I don't remember writing this. And I was talking to somebody yesterday and they were like, I went into my thing.
There is a picture. Bob does have a picture. I've seen it before of the time machine he was trying to build.
I built one.
He wrote in a letter, time machine, sent me the picture. I got to find it. I don't know where it is. Yeah. I got to find it. But Bob was attempting to build a time machine.
I did build one. Now, again, let me debunk myself and let me share with you guys what I am. Now, I worked at the Museum of Flight as I was a technician. I built artificial things, substrates. I built and you
usually work for the Smithsonian Museum.
I worked for all of them. But I'm an exhibits guy, so I help build artificial things that look real, for the exhibit. So I was like, I'm building a time machine, and it's like I had an old Chinese. It's a World War. It's a Korean War generator that was built by the Chinese, and it's a hand cranked generator. And it puts out a lot of. And I took it apart, and I took all the stuff, all the guts out of it. Basically, I took the governor out of it, so it gives it more juice. And I put it all back together, and I could power the entire house with one backpack generator, and built it all out. And then I put a lot of stuff on it, and set it up. I was trying to build a time machine. By him, but you need a heavy charge. And then we talked about, and it was new to me. I've never heard of it. Eric had explained to me. Now I worked at Des Moines I didn't work. I was an intern in Des Moines Historical Society in Des Moines, Washington, and I was my first
of the Mary Island incident.
Yes. It never existed in my reality. There was no Mary Island. So I did all the art of, I had to do old cat numbers in ink, and I had to like a magnifying glass and then write them down, then punch them into a computer. I'm trying to upgrade all the old cat numbers, if you guys understand what I'm saying. Everything had a small cat number, and there was no ever story of that incident. And not only that, I took a parapsychology class right up the road at Highline College. And so I was like, no, there was no UFO in freaking Des Moines. I would have known. But in 2016, I'm like, oh shit. And there was supposed to be debris everywhere. I'm gonna go take a look.
Happened 2 months before the Roswell incident.
Yeah. So I
wasn't a copycat. You could say technically the Roswell was a copycat of the Mary Island incident.
Yeah. Now again, guys, this is just me playing, but I did it for fun of it. And so Eric also knows I took all the kids down to Saltwater Park with the metal. I had the metal detector. I used to go look for things, and I talk about the trees and all the artifacts. I look for like people drop watches. You just do the metal detector. So I went down there and see if I could find any of them product or any of them the missing parts of that UFO. And I guess in a different reality, I don't know, I found some pieces, and then I attached it to the. I threw some freaking power on it. Like, whoa, I guess it works. Because there's debris.
If people doesn't know, real quick, the story goes, one of the ships was having a malfunction, and in the middle of the saucer, it was shooting things out.
Yeah.
Which one of these items killed a dog, and one of these items broke a kid's arm, which is on record. It's not made up story. It's actually recorded.
In this reality, it's true. I'm like, I don't have that. There was nothing like that, man. I debunk, and there was no you. And it came out. It crashed before the the Roswell thing.
Before it,
which is also a Mandela effect for me, because Roswell was true, and where it crashed was not. I'm not saying it's true, but the literature was there. But no, it's changed. Everyone says, we mean Roswell's changed. It has changed. Do you guys know where where it actually crashed? Do you guys know?
I think there were 3 crashes from what I've
yeah.
Yeah, there were 3, so they were separate. But
Name the town where
New
one
Mexico,
of them crashed.
Roswell, of course.
Okay,
I'd say Roswell, but I don't know.
Okay, you guys don't know because you don't have the memory for it. You're not going to have the answer. Does anybody know exactly where it crashed? Where it's there, the place where it's people showed up, the military went to this town and did all this cleanup. Everyone's like Roswell. Well, what's the actual answer? It didn't exist for me. I'll give you guys a hint. What was the name of the virus that just came out? And Mexicans drink it. I enjoy it myself. Lemon. Yes.
With a lime.
Yes. The town of Corona. And I'm like, the town of Corona? What the hell what? Corona? I like, there ain't no Corona, man. I took the parapsychology. We went over detail. There was no Corona ever mentioned. What Corona? Corona. It's, you have Corona Blast now. You have a Corona, everything Corona. You have Tom Hanks has a Corona typewriter, and I go, there was no Corona typewriter.
He starts talking to the government. He's freezing up.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go slow. So there was no Corona typewriter. I know typewriters. Eric knows I had a Remington
Hold on,
typewriter.
are you saying there's a town called Corona?
Yeah, that's where the crash
Look that up.
happened, not Roswell. Corona is the technical place. Roswell is the town next to it. It's Corona that the crash happened.
Then why would they call it the
Remember-
Roswell crash? That's odd.
Right? Because it's in our
It should be the
memories.
Corona crash.
Should be the
then.
Corona crash,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, what Corona? It's like the other town did it. It's like when you look at the Bible, and my memory is of Moses throwing down the staff and being badass Moses. I throw my staff down, it turns into a snake. And then that Pharaoh was like, oh no, but now he doesn't do it. It's his older brother, Aaron. I'm like, who's Aaron? Who the hell is this older brother guy? He's like in the Bible.
There is a this is just a theory
What?
that
Yeah.
people have up in the area where I live, that the Mary Island is the real crash, and they found hold on, they
Yeah.
found a real alien on the island itself, which connected to Vashon Island. Now they say in the story that a T bomber that really did crash, that supposedly had an item
Yeah,
from the wreckage.
from the wreckage.
The real story in the area that I live, because I live in this area where it happened, they
Yeah.
say that it wasn't an item, it was actually alien itself, and they crashed it. The government crashed it on. Now this is just a theory. They
Yeah,
crashed it on purpose to bypass that story, so nobody will research it even more. They created the Corona or Roswell crash to cover up what
The one
truly
over
happened
there.
on the Mary Island. And somehow
Yeah.
the name Roswell it sounds way more popular than a Corona and all that. So
Yeah,
Roswell
Corona.
had a better, sexier name than a Mary Island. I mean, Mary Island
yeah,
sounds crappy, but Roswell sounded great. Now it's just a theory. I'm
Yeah.
not saying Roswell didn't happen, but
Makes
they say
sense.
they created a story there on purpose, and they did crash something, but it was more of a cover up for what they found with the Mary Island, which happened 2 months before Roswell. And
Yeah.
the crash, the T bomber was actually an alien that was on that plane.
yeah.
But
So
out of
yeah.
nowhere, why did this ship crashed? Why did this plane crash? And it had two important officers who came down, investigated, and it's recorded that they were government meetings in Tacoma in hotel rooms.
And
I mean,
the
it's
first,
almost, and you might think that doesn't sound crazy, but
Well,
when
the
you
first
start
Men in
looking at it, does it sound crazy?
well, the
Was
first Men in Black.
Roswell set up on purpose to cover up the real alien crash?
Well, you have the first Men in Black, and I'm like, the first Men in Black.
Which
Where? And no, there was no
my
Men in Black.
town every year celebrates Men in Black Party Bash, and they actually have a band that plays every year in Men in Black outfit. So
I'm
this town
like-
really does.
I owned not one but two houses in Des Moines. I lived there with the university in Des Moines. I went to I was in the Des Moines Historical Society. There was no Men in Black celebration. There was nothing to do with no UFOs. Not in Des Moines. Fishermen, we fish out the pier, but there was no anything UFO. But now Eric's like, did you know about the Men in Black get together? I'm like, nah, man, there was no Men in Black get together.
You
But,
would have known. You totally would have known.
I would have totally known, but somehow it did a rip in time. Somehow somehow something got here that's not supposed to be here, and it changed everything. In fact, when there's all these new footages coming out. I don't want to say 9/11, whatever. So that the day of the incident, I'm not saying anything bad about it, but whatever happened, I was watching the new videos I've never seen before, and there's always some weird guy in the back that's staring at the new foot, like if somebody's being interviewed, and you look over and who's that guy that's staring, like giving a weird mind-mouthed stare at the guy talking. And then you look at the other new video that comes out, there's always another guy staring, or some weird person staring, and like, who are these? Are these Men in Black?
Men in Black band right there. I was just showing a picture of our last party. People
Look at
wearing
that. Looks like, I mean, to me, it looked like Reservoir Dogs. I don't know.
I know, right?
They're Reservoir Dog band. I don't know, man. That's crazy, dude. That's so crazy. But I mean, we could talk about CERN if you guys want to go into that direction. I got information if you guys want to talk about that for a second.
Oh yeah, I mean we have large hadron colliders all over the world and all over the U.S. I've been told we potentially have one in Atlanta. There's one in East. What is it? Oak Ridge, Tennessee has one in their labs there. I mean they're all over the place. And so what is happening when these things are getting turned on? I mean they talk about the one in CERN, Switzerland, but my goodness, you guys, we've got them all over the place. So yeah, they're throwing us into new timelines and old timelines. I think what they're trying to do a lot of times is take us down to a lower timeline or lower energy, lower frequency or something. But I don't know. What kind of 411 do you have?
I mean, I know why and how they're doing it. So okay. I think I sent it to you, Eric. I sent you a new email. You didn't probably get it. Well, it's there.
No, hold on. You probably sent it to me on Outlook. That's a different tab. I don't have that one up. I'm looking it up right now.
It's the Atomic Basics for
hold on.
This gets really into fucking. I always make things easy to understand, so you guys will have no problem. I'm like the greatest dumb teacher you'll ever meet. I even did doodle notes. If you don't have it, Eric, it's
well, okay, hold on. Okay, you just sent it to me. I'm gonna forward it to the email that's on this tab.
Yes, no problem. Would you guys see something? Once you guys see something.
Okay, I just forwarded it to the email that's on this tab.
Okay.
So let me go to that one.
What you're going to see is an answer that a lot of you seek, and it's so funny. I'm laughing at it the whole time. It's like, oh, it's blatant. And it has, and I'll finish it off with the CERN, but I'm going to add
there's a link on there. Am I supposed to click on that link?
Click on that link, yeah. And it should come up. Atomic Basics. This is for everyone to understand. It's like the easiest way to understand what I'm talking about.
Okay, I got it.
When it comes to science.
I love having my computer back. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God you got it right now. Okay, let's see if that's it. I hope it's not my nude. Okay, no, it's not my nudes. Okay, good. Okay, so I want you guys to take a look at that.
We get a lot of views if you're nude.
Yeah, a lot of girls want to talk to me. It's kind of weird. So what you guys are looking at is weight. Okay, I'm gonna boil it down. You don't need to memorize all this shit. It's garbage. CERN is shooting, and I'm gonna use layman's terms, shooting a BB.
Oh, hey, Bob, for a sec, hold on.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, my wife just texted me. She goes, "Tell Bob he said Tom Hanks has a Corona typewriter, and Bob said there was no such thing. Did you tell him?"
Yeah, there was no such thing. Yeah.
I just got text that. I don't know. So sorry.
Well, I had her with Remington. She knows that I used to go to the secondhand store. Your wife, she was a junker like I am, an antiquer.
Oh! I didn't see the rest of it. First, she wrote, "There is a typewriter company in Cortland, New York called Smith Corona."
In Cortland.
Okay, here we go. It moved to Mexico. My classmate parents worked there. Tell Bob, he said Tom Hanks has Corona. So that's what she was meaning, that it started from Cortland. And the reason Cortland's popular is we used to live in Cortland for a while.
Yeah, ironically, you know where I live? The address here has Cortland in it. I live at 6636 and Cortland Avenue.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. Yeah, Cortland keeps making its way back in.
So I didn't know that. Ronnie Dio, just so everybody knows, that does have a time travel song.
Yeah. That's funny. So I want you guys. So if you guys look, okay, so we're gonna talk about something real basic here. I'm gonna try to make it as easy as I can. So the CERN circle tube shoots BBs, and those BBs have weight, and anything that has weight has a thing called wake behind it. It creates its own gravity. Anyway, you know, when something goes fast, it brings in everything around it. It creates its own vacuum. When something goes fast. Something, so they're shooting like if they shoot a proton that goes the speed of light or 999.9%, basically the speed of light, it's gonna have a pull behind it. It's gonna have, it don't matter how small it is, if it's mass and it exists. If I took a BB gun, I'm CERN, I'm gonna shoot this into the upper spheres, into that area, and I shoot that little ass BB, and it goes at the speed of light. It's going to bring me, the planet, the sun, everything, the entire soul. It's going to bring the whole damn universe behind it. You understand? It's going to create gravity. It's going to create a vacuum wake. So no matter how small it is, as long as it has weight, it's going to follow it. So when you have something going at the speed of light that has mass, it has weight, it's going to create a wake behind it. It's going to create a vacuum behind it. It's going to have whatever it is come with it. So in order for me to move the Earth, all I got to do is shoot a BB that has weight to it. Now, the only thing you could shoot that can go the speed of light, it has to have as little weight as it can, because they go speed of light. So you have elements that they're shooting. So, but it has weight. Now, one of them is an electron. An electron is very, 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 it's the lightest of lightest of lightest of lightest, but it still has mass. And it can still drag shit behind it. And the mass weight for an electron, it weighs 9.11 by 1028. So not usually 911 anyway. So it has mass. Now the other ones they shoot is the heaviest. Well, is the heaviest element is the bigger BB would be the proton. That means the whole package is together shooting the proton. The proton has a weight of 1.67 by 1024. Now 1.67. Now, my memory of 9/11 was 747s hitting the tower. It's completely changed. It doesn't exist anymore. What planes hit the towers here, Eric? If you don't know, don't worry about it. If anybody knows, what was the planes that hit the tower here?
You told me before, and it's slipping my
mind. It's changed for me. A plane that I worked at Aerospace Museum, and I don't know that plane ever existed. I'm like, there's a what? It was a what plane hit the Twin Towers? Somebody in the sidebar, write it in.
I thought they were 747s, personally.
I thought it was, to me it was 747s.
Actually, I thought they were holograms when I first saw it, because that was like the word on the street,
737?
Right?
Not 737s. Good guess.
630.
Maybe I'll type it in.
Just
what?
kidding.
What planes hit
Just
the
making
Twin
up
Towers?
numbers. Random numbers.
Yeah. And it goes along with math. It goes along with the whole
767.
767. Okay, so our proton's weight is 1.67. 67, of course, is 13 because 13s are everywhere. Eric, you saw 13. Even your wife saw 13 several times. We always see in 13s, 311s, whatever, or 1111s. Anyway, so the atomic mass, the one atomic mass is 1.67. There's your 767. So anyway, you got your 911, and then you got your 67, 767s. All the different numbers for weight. But anything that you launch that has weight will have a 100% pure vacuum behind it. So they're basically crashing in dimensions. So they're shooting a BB gun that has weight. I don't give a fuck how light it is. It goes 99.9% the speed of light. It's basically the speed of light. You shot weight at the speed of light. If it has mass, no matter how big it is, as long as it has mass, it has a 0.1, it's going to have drag. That means everything behind it's going with it. We just went with it. So
before we go forward, Jessica, didn't you tell me you have to go somewhere at this time?
No, I'm good. You talking about right now?
Okay,
today?
Continue.
Yeah, no, I have to be somewhere in about an hour. I got to go get my kids.
Oh, okay. I want to try to keep you from what you guys go to.
I'm over on the East Coast. No. Yeah, it's okay.
Here's the
I'm chilling,
thing
man.
Bob said
Unless you want
about
to get rid of me.
12 to 13, like the number 13. Why? And I'll tell you guys real quick why it's important to me. And I did a show on it. Bob and I did a show on it. It was a while back that I even show people pictures. I don't have it ready now. That why 13 is always means something to me, because I show a picture of myself, same year on a basketball team where one picture I was wearing a 12. I showed another picture, same year, same team, wasn't another year, I was wearing a 13.
Yeah,
things were changing to a 13.
And then Eric and I's one of our favorite all-time movies is Meatballs with Bill Murray. And he wore Hawaiian shirts the entire movie, and I know it for a fact. I wear Hawaiian shirts now. I'm inspired by Bill Murray. And Eric goes, dude, he sends me a message. I'm going to send you a picture. Don't tell me. What do you think of this? What's wrong with this? And he shows me a pictures of the hot dog eating contest. And Bill Murray's standing there with a red sweatshirt, which is significant in colors. It has its own vibrational number and a big number 13 on it. And I said, dude, homie's wearing the red that's showing up in all the 80s movies, and he has a 13, and he ain't ever had that sweatshirt. Ever.
Oh.
There's the 13. Holy cow. Wow. So
Wow.
anyway, the weight of that was 1 point. Get rid of the 1, 6, 7, you know, at third. Anyway, so if you are going to go through time, you have to shoot something that has no weight. Now, what has no weight? You could shoot a BB that has no weight, and nothing's gonna be in drag. For example, you're in a car and you see a big truck, and you want to get behind the truck because you save gas, right? You save gas if you get behind a truck, a big, huge truck.
You draft. Yeah, it's called drafting. They do it in NASCAR. Yeah.
Drafting. Imagine
I used to race cars. I know what that is.
Yes,
Yeah.
the drafting. So imagine the CERN particle that they're launching, and our universe, you, me, Eric, the entire everything, our universe is drafting behind it. We got stuck in it. So we're drafting behind it. So you have multiple different dimensions being crashed in on each other in drafting. I love that. Well, I'm
Drafting, like Days of Thunder too.
Yes, yes. So our universes are drafting behind the particle because it has weight.
Wow.
It has to. It's not.
Oh my
it's not
gosh.
rocket science. It's basic science. If you drive behind a truck or you like race car drive. I understand what he's saying. Our universe is drafting behind that damn particle. Yes,
Wow.
it's caught in the draft of that. Now, in order for you to go through time and space and not create drafting, you have to have a particle that is antimatter. It has no weight. It's a negative. It has no weight. It's negative. Now, when I wrote my equation, I put in there in the eigen value into the direction of negative, which means it has no weight. So if you want to go through time and space and not create universes crashing on each other, you don't want drafting, then you have to have something with zero weight. It has to be negative. So that's antimatter. And now, CERN, if you go do your research, they are trying to do the crashings, but there's also its counterpart, which is antimatter, that is not being destroyed. So you have this is matter, has weight. This is its partner. It's antimatter. It has no weight. If you blow this guy up, then this guy is free. Oh, man, where the hell do I go? Like, you just blew up my twin. You just screwed up reality because they have to be together. Quantum entanglements, right? One can go. Antimatter can go anywhere it wants, as far as it wants, without any laws of physics whatsoever. It does whatever the hell it wants. It's antimatter. It's free. This is matter. It has weight. It's subject to gravity. Depends on where you're at. It has all the. So this, if I were to take this proton that they've launched at CERN and go to Mars with it, it's going to have a different weight. Depends on the gravity. It doesn't matter. It still has weight. So this minute, although very, very light, we'll use electron. If I launch an electron BB, which is 9.11 10 to 28 power, whatever, it still has weight. It don't matter if it's one. I don't give a shit. It has weight. So it's going to have draft. So if you shoot something that doesn't have weight, then you have no draft. So if you're in a race car that's antimatter, nothing's going to be behind you. If you have a race car that has matter, you're going to have draft. So our universes have crashed in on each other. And it happened when they flipped the first switch. I'm like, I got it. Oh, it has mass. You're shooting things with mass. Now, CERN is trying to save the antimatter. They are saving the antimatter. So whatever's been destroyed, they're killing one twin and saving the other. There's a movie with Tom Hanks, ironically, with the Corona laptop that was made in Cortland. There's a movie, Da Vinci Code, the second one.
The second one, yeah. The
second
church
one.
The angel God one.
Yes. And what did the thieves steal?
God, I haven't watched that movie such a long time.
They stole antimatter, stored antimatter, and antimatter. is a lot of energy. Like,
Oh, they're gonna use that as an explosion.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
they
Okay.
contain antimatter. Now, how do you freeze a particle to keep it from going anywhere? How do you contain a particle? How do you contain anything? You need vacuum, and you need magnets that oppose each other, and a vacuum, and cold, very, very, very cold, because particles vibrate. They vibrate. That's how reality exists. We're just made of vibrating particles. So if they took me, and I'm just made up of vibrating particles, and they put me into a vacuum chamber with magnets and chilled me down to like .-00 whatever one, I'm not going to vibrate no more. I'm completely Buck Rogers, like Buck Rogers. I'm frozen. So they contained me like Buck Rogers. Like, you ever see Buck Rogers has a lot of Mandela effects, by the way, even the space shuttle it flies in. They Buck Rogers the particle. It's frozen. So it doesn't. That's how they do computers. There's a new the quantum computers. They take a particle, they freeze it below 0.000 in a vacuum, like the vacuum of vacuums, and they have all the stuff that freeze that particle, and then its twin is free to go anywhere it wants in quantum entanglement. It can go anywhere. It's not frozen. It goes anywhere. So if they freeze the twin here, the Buck Rogers, this motherfucker, the other Buck Rogers, the antimatter Buck Rogers can go anywhere it wants in any space without any laws, because there's no weight to it. Nothing. It creates no draft, no nothing. It's free to go into any dimension and pull out any information it wants from anywhere.
Well,
That's what
Bob, any young person in the chat be like, what the fuck is Buck Rogers?
Yeah, they don't know Buck Rogers. Yeah.
You know what Buck Rogers is. But all the young people like, Buck Rogers? What? What's this?
For all you old people, so they're taking two Buck Rogers that are completely frozen, and they smash them together. They kill
travel show because he gets frozen and he wakes up in the future.
Yeah, they blew up two frozen Buck Rogers, and Buck Rogers twins are able to go anywhere they want because they're free now. They're free.
Bob, here's a question that Shelly had been asking like twice, and I didn't want to interrupt your story, but the event. Question, Dr. Wu, how static perhaps fit into, say, coming in and out?
Static? I don't understand. Question,
How
Dr.
would static?
How would static perhaps fit into, say, coming in and out? Well, static is just electricity you create from friction from your own body. I mean, static is just it's just friction that you create. It comes off you because your body is made up of mostly salt water, and salt water is pure energy. You're a walking, talking battery. It's the same concept of a battery. You are a walking, talking battery
in a way.
Yeah, well, you are a battery. I mean, you're
a battery.
Here's the battery, and I made it from salt water. Like, they have lanterns now. You can just take salt and water and mix it together, a camp lantern that lasts 12 hours. It's made from salt water.
Really?
Oh, yeah, yeah. They have them now. You can go get them because we're just walking, talking batteries, and we have an electrical charge which keeps your heart going, your brain going, everything going. You're an electrical battery. Yeah, and so that's how these two-dimensionals, damn demons, or even jinn, or what you want to call them, they kind of suck our energy because we're just walking, talking batteries.
Yeah, I was gonna say energy vampires. That's why energy vampires.
Energy vampires.
I mean, I know a few of those personally.
Energy vampires, energy vampires, and so the jinn or the demons, they themselves are like antimatter. They have no weight, no nothing. They have nothing. They're just no body mass. They're two-dimensional, and we have three-dimensional, and we're a walking, talking battery.
Yeah. But hey, they're hiding in those corners, so we can.
Oh yeah, they're in the corners.
The room. We'll be fine.
I think you probably blew everybody's mind with all that information you gave out, because that's a lot of information. But I want to go back to something. Well, I want to know what you think of what happened, Bob. Now, I'm not going to tell the whole story. If you guys want to hear the story of the Gettysburg, go to Space Out Radio on Sunday's night show with Jessica. Yeah. We talked about what we saw there. But Bob, what do you think it was, in your opinion, on how do we went from like going to this town, seeing nothing, now suddenly driving back? There was this whole what we thought at the time was a reenactment.
Yeah.
What do you think that was? Do you think? I don't think it was ghosts because it was too real. Do you think that we stepped into a time travel, in your own opinion?
if I were to be honest, I think somehow, somewhere, our asses got snuffed out. So we got killed, or something happened, or you rolled over, or something happened. We didn't quite make it. So we were kind of like that when I went off that cliff, kind of a thing. So we were in kind of that limbo moment, and then we got back on track. Like we got put back in. I don't believe in death. There's no such thing as death. And so the old pagan philosophy of like the Vikings say, we don't die, we just go to about heaven for Christian, whatever your thing is, you go somewhere else. There's no death. Something, I don't know, something happened to us, dude. Either we ate something bad, or somebody came and shot us in the back, or the car blew up, or something
You did go
happened.
to the breakfast because you wanted to smoke cigarettes.
I wanted to smoke a cigarette at a restaurant. I was working at Smithsonian. I've met a lot of people. I was in the undergrounds, running around underneath the tunnels. I know about. I was arguing with somebody. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So I was arguing with somebody. I was in the tunnel, and I wanted to go to the other museum. So I came up in the. I don't want to cause any problems. It was the new Jewish Holocaust Museum. And I was, I have access to all. I was going through the stuff, and I was talking to a guy. Said, you know what? These are not Jewish people. These are Germans who got tattoos, and I don't. They're getting the reparations falsely because they just stole somebody else's number, or they've had a. Anyway, there's a lot of discrepancies with people that are claiming to have these. Anyway, I was going through their stuff, and the next thing you know, like a day or two later, you and I are in Gettysburg and walking around. So if I were somebody investigate, because I was all over the Smithsonian, if I were somebody saying, hey, it's kind of plausible that you have German citizens that pretending to be of a particular race by getting, and then they're stealing the so it's like if I'm, for example, if I'm from Korea, and I am not, no offense to anybody's race, I'm just using an example, and I came to America, and I went on a reservation, and I kind of look at a little bit, and I grew the hair out, and then I assume somebody else's identity. I can get reparations for from the government as a tribal member. I look a little bit like it. I've got the numbers. I've got the, everybody has their own tribal number. If I've assumed somebody else's tribal number, then I can have a place to stay, money to live on. I can get by with it as a perfect con. So after those things,
questioning the narrative as well.
Oh, I was questioning every narrative.
That changes history in a lot of ways with some of the stuff. So
yeah. And I saw lots of evidence of fraud in the Holocaust Museum. I said, this is a lot of fraud. In fact, a lot of these artifacts aren't even from. This can't be this. I just know this. This is what I went to school for. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this was not from this era. I go, this is all a lot of lies in here. So there's a lot of fraud going on in this museum, and this is a government Smithsonian museum. And I saw a lot of fraud and a lot of things in the museums. In fact, I saw the bones, larger bones than normal. And I did giants. I saw a lot of different things. I saw a lot of skulls with holes in the. I was even up at the attic. I was in the attic, and they had all these human bones, and I had to go through and catalyze, because these are indigenous peoples. You have to have every single bone. It's part of their religion. So I'm assigned to make sure that each drawer has this person's body, which is, I know it's sad to say it that way. And they say, why is there anybody's bones in any box anyway at the Smithsonian? It's because these were prisoners in prison, and they were indigenous peoples in prisons in the 1800s, and before that they were locked away, and then they were buried on the grounds of the prison, and then when they wanted to put condos in, they had to exhume all the bones. And so these people technically still belong to the United States government. They were given to the Smithsonian, where they were given cat numbers for each of their bones and put into a box for like ice. Like they're looking for different, they use them as samples. They grind their bones up to see what they had at that time, what they were eating. For genetic, they're used as they're still being used. They still belong to the government, even though they're long time dead. So I was even playing with that. I said, that's kind of fucked up.
You were saying that they actually had holes in the skull, so they were potentially executed.
Yeah, there was holes in a lot of the skulls. I saw holes in the skulls even in the. I was in the Paris Underground with millions of skulls, and I'm picking them. I go, why are there holes in some of these skulls?
Oh my gosh. I need
Yeah.
to bring you on my show and talk about giants sometime.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Seriously. This is fascinating. I've never heard this angle of any of this.
So going back to the original
Wow.
story, I think Eric and I might have got snuffed.
Well, you might have ended up with a hole in your skull.
You might end up with a hole in my skull, and Eric probably had a hole in his
Wow.
skull. We probably got, I don't know. Again, guys, this is purely fantasy speculation.
Well,
But
it's
it
kind of
makes you
fun
think.
watching
Wow.
Jessica's show a couple days ago. They're talking about clones. Like, what if we were snuffed and we were replaced by clones?
Well, that would be Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right? Is that the same concept? They did have like 2 movies called The Invasion with Nicole Kidman, where everybody was replaced. And
the idea is they clone you to a new body, and then they destroy the old body.
yeah, and then you also had Invasion of the Body Snatchers from the 70s or 60s or 70s. Oh, 60s. And then they had another 70. Why would they have so many of those movies made? I mean, it was
They gotta tell us before they do it.
a lot
That's
of things.
why.
Yeah, they call that retro causality. A lot of these pre-messages for this reality. Yeah, so maybe a lot of people are being replaced by like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Again, guys, this is just speculation, fantasy.
It's for entertainment purposes only. That's what I like to say. Yeah.
There's a show on Netflix, a series. I forgot what it's called. It was about cloning, and I remember in the beginning of it, it showed Tom Brady walking out, cloning himself. Because people were wondering, how can this guy still play good so old? Well, he's playing so good as old because that's a clone.
Yeah,
he refreshed his body.
Yeah, I'm being stopped because I'm freezing cold right now, and you guys see my cigarette went out.
Oh my gosh!
It went out.
Yeah, it's never cold in Fresno. What do you mean?
It's hot as hell here, but right now my cigarette went out because it's freezing cold right where I'm at. Early lights.
You may have some MIBs around you right now or something.
That's an interesting input. So instead of like time traveling, we were snuffed, and through the process before they brought us back, we went to visit Limbo.
That's all.
Limbo was done, then we came back, and that's why when we talked about it, that it seemed like it got darker. But then when we drove out of Gettysburg, everything got brighter.
Brighter. Yeah. So, I mean, again, guys, this is just, we probably got. Eric took me to that place. He says, "I got a surprise for you, dude." And I was like, "What, man?" I mean, I was looking forward to seeing historical sites because that's all I've ever done my whole life is go see historical sites. And Eric's like, "We got a place to stop at," and they had blackened catfish, all the southern food, and you get to smoke a cigarette.
And you can smoke, yeah.
Smoking there, I was like, "Oh, what a heaven this is, man!" And after that, it's when we made our way up to the Gettysburg, and next thing you know, we're actually at Gettysburg.
Again, not just go there. We also have a few different memories of it. Like when the lady came up, I said it was bread, and you said it was potato.
She said potatoes.
And I'm almost 100% sure it was bread because I smelt it. And you said you almost smelt it was tomato. I'm not tomatoes. Potatoes.
Yeah, we walked up, and she come out of the tent. She big gal, the old patting her big old belly down. She's wearing the traditional clothes, and she had the cauldron, and she's making a large thing of stew for everybody. And she come out friendly and nice and asked if we brought any potatoes. And I said, "Oh, I didn't know we were supposed to. I didn't know. We were so sorry.
I said we lost it in a battle."
Yeah, Eric's playing. We're playing along.
Oh my gosh!
We were just playing
it
along.
Might have been like a real situation, and you guys are making jokes. Come on, guys!
We made a lot of jokes. I was making jokes up and down. I have a great sense of humor. Eric's running all over the place, pointing out.
But we're making jokes because during that time, it felt like it was just a reenactment to us. And then we were noticing that nobody was showing up from the outside world. Like,
and like
this thing. It's a Sunday.
Nobody. It's just me and Eric and all the reenactors, and we're like, "Oh, this is kind of cool, man. We got like a private freaking reenactment kind of a setup." And we were at the surgeon's tent, and I'm like, "What does this do?" Eric's picking it up. What does this do? That metal thingy? They put the knockout
horsehair.
Oh, the horsehair. They did the guy explained how they boiled. They have a cauldron and a boiling horsehair. Like, you guys are actually boiling horsehair. That's cool. Like, really going all out with this one.
I was like, "Hey, you're actually cutting hair off that horse."
Cutting hair off that horse. I go, "That's fucking this is some serious dedication, man. That poor fucking horse." But, And then they were just cracking. They have all the ammo. They have all the rifles laid out, and people are walking around with their uniforms. Some people look like they're injured. Oh, that's fucking real, dude. That looks
Whoa.
real.
Like real blood and everything.
Yeah, real blood and
Okay.
everything. They're like, God damn, that
Wow.
looks real. I said, I don't know about this, man. I think we're kind of here. So shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I mean, this is literally one of the coolest stories I've ever heard of, potentially being in a time loop or what I don't know what this is, but it sure is cool. Whatever
Yeah.
happened to y'all.
Well, he and I went through a windshield together, so we died once. So
Yeah.
what's the difference?
You guys
What's the
just keep
difference?
dying together. That's what it is. You keep dying together. You know what's really cool is that I'm actually planning to go to a Civil War reenactment tomorrow or this weekend.
Oh,
We have a huge one here in Georgia. It's the Battle of Chickamauga up in Northwest Georgia.
wow.
Near Tennessee, like near Chattanooga, and they're doing a reenactment. My son is so stoked; like he's really
for
into
him.
like war reenactments. He's only 9, but
Yeah.
actually he thought it was a World War II reenactment, and he cried when I told him it was a Civil War reenactment. But he's going anyways. But yeah, we're going and see. And here's the thing about Chickamauga up there is that we get a lot of reports, and I do my research up in that area. We have cryptid reports on that battlefield because 34,000 men died over a 3-day period on that land, and they were stacked 19 on top of each other, like shoulder to shoulder for like 5 miles down the road. I mean, it was that many people, and we
Yeah.
have old green eyes, like all these different cryptids that are seen to this day up there on that battlefield. So
Well, I mean, there were
really,
sacrifices.
really strange
Yeah.
places.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
there was sacrifice
Oh
because
yeah,
if you look
it requires blood.
Yeah, and if you look at if you're a strategist and you're smart and you're like you have lines of guys facing each other with rifles, and then they say fire, they're gonna die. There's nobody hiding
Yeah.
there's no guerrilla warfare. There's nobody. It's face to face with rifles.
No.
Okay, ready, aim. I'm like this is suicide.
Yeah.
Just die.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to the what Eric
it's
found
really
out,
terrible, man.
thanks to the Southern surgeons, which were a lot of them were Crete indigenous peoples that lived on, and originally Cherokee and other original settlers that were of the civilized tribe already knew how to stitch with horsehair and all those other things. So they were captured. Eric found out these are captured Southern surgeons, a lot of S's.
Oh.
Southern surgeons captured by the North. This was a northern camp. Now we're in a northern camp, but there were Southern surgeons there, like all over the place. And we're like, how is it that there's Southern surgeons here? And they're from the South, and they obviously have an indigenous look to them. And I'm like, they explained to us that they had been captured. They were picked up and captured, like Operation Paperclip. You know what I'm saying? This is like an Operation Paperclip in the Civil War. They got all the Southern surgeons for the war. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
To save people. They probably saved hundreds of lives using sterile boiled water.
Wow. Something so simple. Yeah. I mean, I have all 4 of my great grandfathers were in the Civil War. They all fought.
Oh.
And one of them actually, he came home, like he was down here in the South. He got captured by the North at some point, and they took him up to, I think it was Virginia or somewhere to some camp or somewhere, maybe it was New York. I don't know where it was, but anyways, while he was up there, when he finally came home, like he had to people were trying to eat him. Like when he came home, he had bite marks all over his body where the other soldiers had tried to eat him because they were all starving to death. And so
was he in
Andersonville?
Andersonville?
Might have been. He was. Well, we're in Georgia. It was somewhere straight north, like
Yeah,
towards New York, somewhere.
He was in Andersonville.
He was there. And so he said, so what the story that I heard, because I wasn't living when he was alive, of course, but when he came home, first of all the women in our town had been taken off into the sex trade, basically up into the north by the soldiers. Yeah. And so they were all pretty much gone, and the children too, unfortunately. Yeah. And but the soldiers went in and actually gave him a contract to sign. They're like, hey, you come fight with us and we'll feed you. And so he ended up having to spend another year or two. He had to enlist in like the Northern Army to fight so he could eat and survive. And when he came
Yeah.
home, he was covered in bite marks all over his body.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the whole,
it was terrible.
I mean, the whole Civil War wasn't about free slavery. I literally, we were at that camp, and they had all of these Southern surgeons that were indigenous, and they were lighter skinned. They were one way back. Anyway, they were the intelligent tribes, and they were capturing all of them. And it was like the war was all about killing the intelligent tribes, all the ones that were indigenous to the South. They were killing them off or kidnapping them. And I'm like, there's nothing about the slavery. It's all about killing the intelligent tribes. They didn't want evidence to support anybody being there. And I saw evidence to support that there was an actual, I don't want to say it, but maybe there's a lost tribes that made it across the water. There were northern European settlers. Anyway, there was a large settlement of already people that came from other lands that were from Europe there, and they had been there for probably thousands of years, whatever. And they already had the snake mounds and everything. They sure did a lot to kill them off. I was like, other than the freedom, yeah. And then they had the Tale of Trees with the Cherokee, and I'm like, that's a lot of bad things happening in the South, and it's sure happening.
Get rid of our giants as well. Like, there's so much covered up, and the ancient Egyptian settlements. I mean, there's so much.
The North came in there and took all the history and wiped it clean and called it something else. I said,
well, and that's why they burned all the cities down. That was to get rid of all this architecture that we had too with the free energy. Yeah, I mean, we're piecing these things together now. Okay.
Yeah, and these are all the lands. Yeah.
Yeah, and okay, and so here's another thing. We're talking about time travel. From what I've been told, I'm friends with a guy named Jimmy Payne. That's not his real name, but he calls himself Jimmy Payne. He's part of the secret space program, Project Montauk, Project Pegasus, a lot of this stuff. He told me that we are actually on a very corrupted timeline right now, and that the South, in the timeline that we're supposed to be on, the South actually won the war. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And that's the one we're supposed to be on. Oh, I just got goosebumps too when I said that. So that resonates. But we were, and I say we, because I'm from the South. Okay.
Yeah.
So like the South was supposed to have won, or we did win actually, the South. And, originally, and we didn't have all this craziness in the world today, but like upside down world is what I like to call it. Like, we're living in a total weird timeline.
As above, so below, you know.
Yeah.
The old as above, so below, you know. Like, we're down below. Shit. This whole corruption, this whole thing is corrupted, man. I'm like,
so corrupt.
We're gonna wind down a little bit, and first of all, we gotta have a part 2 of this in the future, because there's so much that we probably just scratched the surface.
Oh God.
This was a good conversation. Man, this is awesome.
It's always fun. So people in the chat, you're gonna have to wait for a part 2, because this is just exciting. But before we go, let's find out what's going on each other's channels. You know, you guys all know I'll be back on Monday.
Yeah.
You guys all know Monday, my guest Tom Reed, who supposedly was abducted by a ship in the Berkshire, we rescheduled it to this Monday, so he's supposed to come on. But beyond that, Jessica, what do you got coming up on your own channel? And you also do Space Out Radio on the weekends.
Nice.
Yeah. I've got Space Out Radio this weekend, tomorrow night, and Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Tomorrow night, I'm supposed to have Arkeem Ra coming on. He's a friend of mine, part of the secret space program. He's moving. I'm not sure if he's going to make it, but I'm going to call him today. I have Josh Cutchin on Sunday night. He's going to be awesome. I've been out in the field doing research with him before. So next week, I do definitely have on Wednesday, I have James Reek coming on my show. He's with the Super Soldier Talk on YouTube and as part of the Secret Space program as well. He's a super soldier, and he's a good friend of mine. So we got that coming up. I'm not sure about my remote viewing show next week, but hey, y'all can find me over at the Cryptid Huntress on YouTube. Please subscribe. I have been putting out some really cool shows lately, including I had Eric. I had you on Spaced Out Radio the other night, so that was a lot of fun. Thank you for being my guest. And and Dr. Wu, I got to get you on my show, man. We got to talk about giants sometime soon. But yeah, that's where y'all can find me.
Oh yeah, we haven't even really scratched the surface, even on the Mandela effects, because we could go way deep into that.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Dr. Wu, you always, what do you got coming up? I know you're more spatic, where you don't really have a time scale. You just come on when you want to.
Well,
Like,
I
you feel you're going to come on.
I have a 70% disability at the VA, and that's what I live on, and it's called money. And so when I have enough money, I mean, when I come on and do my shows, I do it for people getting off narcotics. We all hang out and have a good time. I mean, nobody's, people are coming off, getting off in the process of detox. We just make jokes, we laugh, and I just drink beers. I fast for a few days and not have anything. Then I come on and I have some beers and I just tell Whopper stories and have a good time. And I give codes out to people that are playing games. People are playing games. Like for one of the games that, if you guys watch there's a video called The Verve Bittersweet Symphony. It's a song, and the guy walks down the center of the street. If you have the Mandela effect, you would constantly see the changes in the song. And so people get together and they try to highlight all the changes, and they play with. So I have people coming in and just playing games and having a good time. Some people try to match me beer to beer. Whatever, I don't know, but I'm a little short. Say something fell through, but I think I have a little bit of backup, so I'll probably be doing a show tonight. I guarantee I'm going to be doing a show tonight. I got a few dollars stashed away, so I'm gonna get some beers. I'm gonna smoke a little Wade.
Oh, beyond that, I appreciate Jessica and Dr. Wu coming on. It's always fun. The energy felt so natural. It's just natural.
Yeah,
You can't.
yeah,
You
it was
can't.
awesome.
You can't fake that kind of stuff. It's just.
Yeah.
It was fun. So beyond that,
well, Eric, before you hang up,
you
hang up, this is we're getting into Halloween. Can you do the your old ending with Jason Voorhees and all that fun stuff?
Oh, the intro, like horror talk intro.
Yeah, do the horror talk one.
Okay, we're gonna end the show with my old horror talk intro when we talk about how horror movies are more related to the world than we think.
Yes.
We break down
Oh
that Hollywood knows what they're doing. Those are always fun. Sorry, sad to say that a lot of people in the chat, once you talk about a movie, they leave. But they don't understand that a lot of movies have clues on what's going on in the world that we break down. So we're gonna end the show with the horror talk intro. Here we go.
Bye, y'all.